Let's make an ornament using our holographic ornament mold. The first thing you want to do is make sure you warm your UV resin up in warm water. So put it in a cup of hot water just to get it nice and runny. Next, you're going to go ahead and pour that UV resin into the mold directly, and you want it to be a thin layer, but not too thin. You want it to be at least enough to coat the bottom of the ornament. Next, we're going to go ahead and put some of our peppermint pieces into our clay, and then I'm going to take my silicone brush and kind of work any bubbles I see around the edges of the mold or lingering in the bottom of the mold. I'm just sweeping them toward the middle, and then I'm going to hit them with a lighter and get rid of them. The more that you let this rest outside of the light, remember, don't do this in the sunlight or in an LED light, but the more that you let it rest, the more bubbles will rise to the top, and it'll be really easy for you to get them out. So work them to the middle, to the top, and then make sure you're coating your clay pieces with that resin as well, because while those are being coated, those bubbles are going to continue to come to the top. Then I'm going to take my lighter and sweep it across the top, and I'm going to do the same thing with the clay pieces, and I'll let this continue to rest and come back and do this same process again. That is the best way to ensure that you don't have any bubbles in your pieces. Now we're going to move our clay pieces out of the way of the light so it doesn't cure accidentally. And then let's go ahead and get this first layer cured. So we're going to put our lamp on here and we're going to cure this for 1 to 2 minutes. And then we're going to flip it over and cure it the same amount of time, 1 to 2 minutes. And then when that is finished, we are going to start on our next layer. We'll start with a few drops of UV resin and place my clay on top of those. That way there are no bubbles between the piece of clay and the ornament layer itself. So using tweezers, I will go ahead and pick up the peppermints, place them into the UV resin that I've put down, and once I get them where I want them, I will add enough UV resin to coat the bottom of that ornament. Just arrange your little clay pieces however you would want them as your last minute touch. And then I use the lighter again to get rid of any bubbles I may have created or that may have risen to the surface. And then we're going to go ahead and cure this. I will cure this for about 1 to 2 minutes depending on the strength of your lamp. And then we are going to flip it over and do the same. Now you're going to take it out of the mold and you can see how beautiful it is, that wonderful holographic look. If you want it to be clear at this point, all you do is top it off on the back with the clear UV resin, cure it, and it is done. But I am going to show you how to add a layer of mica to the back just to give it a little bit more color and a little bit more dimension to make those peppermints pop. So using the mica that you got in your kit, go ahead and add just a little bit, just half of a tiny spoonful to your UV resin. And I filled my resin cup up about 3/4 of the way. So just a little bit of that mica goes a long way. You can always add more, but you'll see once you start mixing it that it does go a long way. So using your silicone brush, go ahead and stir that mica in, stir it really, really well. Let it rest in the cup for a minute or two, because anytime you add anything to resin, it's going to create bubbles when you stir it. So just try to get those bubbles get to the top so that you can nip them with that lighter. Once you feel like it's nice and mixed and it looks pretty smooth, go ahead and add it to the back of the ornament and spread it out to where you have a nice cohesive coat on the back. Once you are happy with that, let it level out a little bit, and then to give it some final touches, if you want to add a little bit of the design, go ahead and use your silicone brush and just move that resin around in different directions, whatever you feel looks good. And once you're done with that, we're going to go ahead and cure that for about 1 to 2 minutes. All you have to do now is thread the top with the ornament hook included in your box, and you are all set to hang it on your tree. These are so easy, and you can cast over and over and over again, you guys.